I don't know how it is done. All right, it's gonna send the link out. Good. All right, Shalom. This is the I.S.U.P.K. under Commanding General YAHANNA. Today's class is the Monday history class. I'm gonna be doing it today. Captain of 10,000 Parasha from the I.S.U.P.K. out in the city of Birmingham. So for those of you that are new online, this is the I.S.U.P.K. under Commanding General YAHANNA. And according to the Bible and history, we teach that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the real Israelites, man. Right. Are the real Jews according to the Bible and history. And everything that we go through as a nation is found in the Bible. Single parent homes in the Bible. Black on black crime, Hispanic on Hispanic crime is in the Bible, man. Our enemies hating us is in the Bible. Slavery is in the Bible, man. And that's what we teach. And if you want to learn more, feel free to type your questions in the chat. Or if you're in the UK, we do have a school which we are teaching from right now. The address is 394 Lodge Road, postcode B18 5PW. I'll say it one more time. The postcode is B18 5PW, and the address is 394 Lodge Road. So if you're in the city of Birmingham, matter of fact, if you're in England, you can type us in on a search engine, use Google, type in I.S.U.P.K. Lodge Road, and you will find us, man. You'll find the address. It'll give you directions via car, train, via foot, or whatever the case may be. And from this school, we teach classes 4 times a week and a radio show. So today, Monday, history class. Online on Tuesday, tomorrow, will be the Brotherhood class. Wednesday, law class. Thursday, scripture breakdown class. Then on Friday is not a class, but it is the radio I.S.U.P.K. on the ends, man. On I.S.U.P.K. on the ends, we rip into side, man. We talk about everything that is happening on the ends. Then on Saturday is the Sabbath service. That's from 12 till 1, but we're going back to camp, Lord allowed, this Saturday. So it'll be from 10 till 11. So, Lord allowed, first day back up to camp will be on the Birmingham High Street from 12 till 5. So gonna be back at it, man. Lockdown's over. It's called V-Day, is it?
Freedom Day.
It's called Freedom Day. It's like it. So we'll be back at it. So yeah, today's history class is about idolatry. We will be getting into the history on idolatry, and God forbids us to be idolaters, man. If you're in the church, you are an idolater. If you are in the mosque, you are an idolater, man.
Right.
If you're into Rastafarianism, you are making an idol out of Haile Selassie, man.
Right.
If you're in some Egyptology, Pan-Africanism, mumbo jumbo, you are an idolater. And what you don't understand, if you are black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, is that God hates idolatry, man. The God of the Bible, the black man's God, is not with idolatry, man.
Right.
So what we're going to do first, we're going to get into the Bible, Deuteronomy 28 and 64.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
So now, one curse for the Israelites in the Bible is the Lord will scatter us among all people, man. And that's why we're in England. That's why we're in the West Indies. That's why we're in Amsterdam. That's why we're in France and wherever we are. That is a curse. And what makes it a curse? That every nation has a homeland and they are predominantly there. But one nation is scattered among all people, man. Indians, are they in England? Yes. Are Indians in Germany? Yes. But why is that not a curse? Because they have a homeland, man. And the majority are in their homeland more than in Germany, more than in England. But there's one people that are scattered among all people because they don't have a homeland, man. We were kicked out of our homeland. That's why we're here. That's what makes being scattered among all people a curse. Reader.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth, even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
So listen now. As we're scattered all over the earth, we are going to serve gods that our fathers have not known. Now, why does it say your fathers have not known? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they never heard of Allah.
Right.
Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob never heard of Caesar Borgia, man.
Right.
Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob definitely never heard of Selassie, man.
Right.
Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob didn't acknowledge Ra and Set and all these idols that we have. Reader.
Even wood and stone.
And even wood and stone, man. What's that talking about, man? The wood is that cross, man.
Right.
In the Bible, Christ was crucified, man. And that a cross, you can research it. In Babylon, there was what the world would call a god that was called Tammuz. And that a T, when you spin it around, it makes a disc. And that was the sun in their eyes. And that's where that cross originates from, man. Now with Christ, he was crucified, yes. But that cross is used for something else, man.
Right.
That cross is sun worship. You can look it up. That's not really a cross. It's a T for Tammuz, which was a Babylonian deity, as the world would say, man. And stone. What is stone? The Kaaba stone, man. You know what? Give Captain Cutters our hand for cutting that Nation of Islam guy. I don't know if you've seen it, don't go. You know what I mean? The guy asked the stupidest question. Where in the Quran does it say that, we worship that stone? And Kazar went in his own book and showed him, man.
Right.
Which shows you another thing that Muslims don't know the Quran, man. They love to talk about the Bible, and that's the problem. You're in the Bible too much that you don't know your book, man.
Right.
You don't know where the idolatry is in there.
Right.
You're asking him for something you should know, man. And that's the problem, man. But the point being is that we would serve these idols while we are scattered among all people. Reader.
Even wood and stone, and among these nations shall thou find no ease.
And listen, while you're serving their God, you won't find no ease, man.
Right.
Marcus Rashford found out the hard way, man.
Right.
He's in the church, and that nation called England doesn't give him no ease, man. Why? Because we are in our enemy's land. But the point that's being made is a curse in the Bible is that we would serve idols, proving that idolatry is not ordained by the Lord, man.
Right.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be a curse in the Bible. It's a curse because God is saying, listen, you're going to lose your homeland and you're going to serve idols. And why is that a curse? Because a man makes an idol, man. Idolatry is the work of man's hands as it says in the Bible. Idolatry doesn't intercess with God. Idolatry is a philosophy of man. And that philosophy is, I can't speak to God directly, so this idol is my intercessor. Not knowing that you made that idol, you made this. So how can that get you closer to God? Or how can that be God, man? That's what makes it a curse. If you could, in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, get me a idolatry. Like, it's just literally just a sentence over there. So what we are going to do out of the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, get idolatry.
Idolatry in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Idolatry in ancient times included two forms of departure from the true religion: the worship of false gods.
So now, this is what idolatry is, man. It is the worship of false gods. Why? Because what you're bowing down to is not God, man.
Right.
What you reverence as God, it is not God. And that's why the Lord was angry when we did it. All the heathens, they've been doing it, but we've seen the works of the living God.
Right.
We saw God part the Red Sea, man. We heard the voice of God and lived. And then when we started to do idolatry, that's what got God angry, man. That we've seen the works of the real God and we left it for a fake God, man.
Right.
Left it for nothing because what we thought was God couldn't do nothing. And that's what got God angry. And I'm saying this because there's people out there, they believe there's other gods. They believe with those idols, there is some spiritual power behind them. No, there's not, man. What got God angry is that we left him for nothing.
Right.
That's what got him angry. Not that these idols are real. Not that there's something true behind them. Just that it pissed him off that we left the living God for a rock, man. For a man who carved up an idol and just overlaid it with gold, man. Read on.
Two forms of departure from the true religion: the worship of false gods, whether by means of images or otherwise, and the worship of Yahweh by means of images.
There. So now that's what idolatry is, meaning you think you're worshiping God via images. You think, well, this image I've got right here, and I'm bowing down to it. That is me serving God. That is idolatry, man. You are making that image God. But with that being said, listen, and the Lord warned us about that in the Bible. Let's get Deuteronomy 4. So it says images. Now let's see what the Lord said about images. But I think Deuteronomy 5. Nah, it must be 4. Deuteronomy 4.
You know about no similitude?
Yes, that's the one.
All right, and then that is you want it from verse 12, or you want it up a bit?
Kanye from verse, from up a bit, yeah, just to.
What verse 11?
Yeah, verse 11. Yeah.
Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 11. And ye came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire unto the midst of heaven with darkness, clouds and thick darkness. And the Lord spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. Ye heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude. Only ye heard a voice.
There, man. That's why you can't have any images and say that's God. Because in the Bible, the Lord warned us. He's saying, when you heard my voice, all you heard was a voice.
Right.
You didn't see no similitude. What does similitude mean? Meaning something that you can go, it's like that. It is similar. You saw no similitude. No one didn't see it, but God looked like this, or God looked like that. All what we heard was a voice, man. So anyone that has an imagery of God and they're bowing down to it and they are praying, that is idolatry.
Right.
Because the Lord told us that, listen, on Mount Horeb, all you heard was a voice. You didn't see nothing, man. I didn't have the similarity of a man. I didn't have the similarity of an animal. I didn't have nothing, man. All you heard was just a voice, which what? Even more shouldn't make us be idolaters, man.
Right.
Shouldn't make us bow down to rocks. Shouldn't make us bow down to a wooden cross if we didn't see nothing, man. Read on.
And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments. And he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. And the Lord commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that ye might do them in the land, wherever ye go over to possess it.
Read on.
Take ye therefore good heed unto yourselves, for ye saw no manner of similitude.
And there you go, man. The Lord is saying it twice, man. That you saw no manner of similitude, saying, listen, you got the laws, you got the commandments, but you saw no similitude, meaning I wasn't similar to something else, man. Read on.
For ye saw no manner of similitude on the day that the Lord spake unto you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest ye corrupt yourselves.
Lest we do what?
Corrupt yourselves.
And what does the word corrupt mean, man? Make yourself dirty, man.
Right.
Make yourself unclean. If something is corrupted, it means it's defiled, man. It's unclean. And when we are in the church, we corrupt ourselves, man.
Right.
When we are in the mosque, we corrupt ourselves, man. Why? Because the God that we serve, we saw no similitude.
Right.
Read on.
And lest ye corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female.
There you go, man. And the Lord warned us to go, listen, you only heard a voice. And that happened so that we didn't corrupt ourselves and make anything after the similitude and say, listen, that is God, man. That's an idol. The Lord didn't want us having no idols. So what did he do? Just made us hear his voice, man. So there's no excuse for any idolatry, man. There's no excuse to have a cross on your wall, man.
Right.
There's no excuse to have a picture of the Kaaba on your wall, man.
Right.
There's no excuse to have Haile Selassie on your wall, man.
Right.
There's no excuse to have Ra and Set and Min and all these Egyptian idols in your house.
Right.
Why? Because us as a nation, we heard the voice of God, but saw no similitude. Read on.
The likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flieth in the air, the likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth.
There you go. So the Lord saying you didn't see nothing. So don't have no beast God, no fish God, no, there's no image that you can say that is God on the earth because you didn't see nothing, man. And that's why all throughout history, you know, in the history section, we're going to get into it, but all throughout history, what do you notice? Every nation had a God for everything, man. The fish God, the bull God, Damn a God for everything. And God saying, don't do that, man. Because all you heard was a voice. Read on.
Unless thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldst be driven to worship them.
And there you go now. Now the Lord's took it off the earth. Now he's going into the sky, man. You lift up your eyes unto heaven, man. Meaning up above, and you see the stars, you see the sun, you see the moon. Listen, man. You only heard the voice of God.
Right.
So you can't start to worship the sun, start to worship the stars, start to worship the moon, when all you heard was a voice. All you heard was a voice. So there's no similitude unto God, man. There should be no sun god. There should be no moon god in Islam. There shouldn't be no God that you can say, listen, this idol represents God. Because all what we heard as a nation was just a voice. Read on.
Unless thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldst be driven to worship them and serve them, which the Lord thy God hath divided unto all nations under the whole heaven.
So now, you got fake Israelite groups. And what did they say about this verse? That God makes all of them who worship the sun and the stars. This verse ain't saying that, man. The sun and the stars and the moon is divided to every nation under heaven, meaning what? All of them see the sun, the stars, and the moon, man.
Right.
Every nation has the sun for a light by day and the moon for a light by night, man.
Right.
It don't mean God wants the other nations to be idolaters. It's saying that the sun and the stars, every nation gets a piece of it, man. They say, you see, they're meant to worship it. No. Every nation has the sun, the moon, and the stars divided unto them. They see it in the morning and in the night. Read on.
But the Lord hath taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt.
And there you go. Sorry. And there you go. That's how you know this is talking about idolatry. Because in Egypt, they was heavy into idolatry, man. Egyptians loved idolatry. I didn't bring it with me, but you can get books on ancient Egypt, and there is a section called Gods of Egypt. In every Egyptian book I've ever got, there's a section devoted to Egyptian gods, man. They had a god for everything, man. Even things that are ridiculous, they had a god for it. And that's why God's saying, listen, I took you out of Egypt, the iron furnace. Why was Egypt an iron furnace? Because we were serving hard bondage, man.
Right.
It was a place where we was basically forced to work, man. In a furnace, it's hot and what? That metal worker, there's a word for them. Metallurgy. That is a word I'm not making up. You know what I mean? He's working hard, man. And we was in Egypt working hard, man. That's what makes an iron furnace. And while doing that, we learned the ways of Egypt, man. And God's saying, listen, no more idolatry, man. I'm your God. I parted the Red Sea. I know you heard it was a voice, man. Read on.
But the Lord hath taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto him a people of inheritance, as ye are this day.
And there, man, God wants us to be a people of inheritance, man.
Right.
I mean, a people that he loves and can admire. Like, this is my people here, man. It's like your son. Your son will get your inheritance if he's wise. If he's not, he ain't getting it, man.
Right.
And it's not a sin. You mean people think because your son is the firstborn that he must get inheritance. Listen, if your son is an idiot, you don't have to give him no inheritance, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just like in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, with Jacob, he didn't give it to Reuben. Why? Because he slept with his wife. He didn't give it to Simeon and Levi Because they was hotheads, man. He gave it to who? The tribe of Judah, man. As a man, you have the right to choose who gets your inheritance and who doesn't. And the Lord's saying, listen, man, you do what I want. You're going to be a people that are my inheritance, man. A people that do what I tell them to do. A people that make me happy, man. And how do we do that? By not serving idols, man. By not being in the mosque. By not being in the church. That's how we do it. Reader.
Furthermore, the Lord was angry with me for your sakes.
Oh, no sweat. That's going into something else. Let's get back in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. You also talking about some ginger tea?
No. The herbal stuff.
Yeah. Shit, make me lose weight, man.
All the nations surrounding ancient Israel were idolatrous.
Oh, so now let's keep that in mind, man. All the nations that surrounded ancient Israel were idolaters, man. Meaning what? The Ammonites, the Moabites, what's some other ones? The Philistines, the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Arabs, all the nations that was round about the land of Israel, they was idolaters, man. And in your own time, you can look at what gods they had, man. They had Ashtaroth, which was a fertility god that had breasts from her neck down to her toes, man. Like, how ridiculous is that, man? And they believe, they worship her, that, they will have kids and their flock will increase and their bulls and their herd. That's what these nations believed in. And even though they did it round about us, God forbid that we should do it, man.
Right.
Reader.
Although their idolatry assumed different forms, the early Semites of Mesopotamia worshipped mountains, springs, trees, and blocks of stone.
Okay, so now idolatry wasn't just in one form. So the people of Mesopotamia, which would be Iraq, their idolatry, it wasn't graven images. They believe, this mountain, this is where God is, or this a waterfall, this is where the fertility God is. Their idolatry, it wasn't graven images. Their idolatry just based off, this mountain is, where God came from, or this waterfall, or whatever the case may be. And even in Japan, there's a mountain that they have, and they believe from that mountain, that's where the legs of God were made. It's a fact. They teach it that there's one mountain to go. God's legs came from that mountain. So that's an example of the idolatry of the ancient Mesopotamians. Reader.
In which the deity was supposed to be, in some sense, incarnate. A typical example of such wooden representations is the sacred pole, the idol of his clan, which Gideon destroyed.
All right, so that's a Bible reference in the book of Judges, where a Gideon, he destroyed a pole, and they're going into the history behind it, that they believe in that a pole that God's essence was in it, which is ridiculous, man. It's a wooden pole, man. So what you're telling me, an all-knowing God, his spirit is in a piece of wood. Reader.
The religion of the Egyptians centered mostly about the veneration of the sun and of the Nile.
All right. So now Egypt, all throughout school, you learn about Egypt and the Egyptians that had the sun god called Ra, and he was their top god, if that's what you want to say. And they believe that he had an effect on the river Nile. Reader. Oh, and also even they had a river god called Happy. So now when a woman she could not give birth at a certain time of the year, they went into the river believing that God would, help them give birth. Read on.
The religion of the Egyptians centered mostly about the veneration of the sun and of the Nile as sources of life. They also had a number of sacred animals: the bull, cow, cat, baboon, crocodile, etc. Some of the deities had human bodies and animal heads. Among the Canaanite religion, took on a very barbarous character. The chief gods, whose personification of life and fertility, the gods had no moral character whatsoever, and worship of them carried with it demoralizing practices.
Okay, so now it's gone from the Egyptians to the Canaanites. Now the Canaanites, their idolatry was barbaric, and that's why they was. And to show that the Bible is true, God hated the Canaanites and wanted them out of the land. And when you read the Bible, why did God want them out of the land? For their hideous acts. In the Apocrypha, it called them odious, man. Does anyone online know what the word odious means? I'll give you a shot. I'll give you a minute. The word odious. Does anyone know what that means? All right, for time's sake, the word odious is extremely unpleasant, repulsive. So whatever the Canaanites was doing, it was horrible, man. What they was doing in their form of idolatry, in I believe it's Wisdom of Solomon, it uses the word odious, and it's extremely unpleasant, man. Meaning their idolatry and what they did to their idols was repulsive, man. It was disgusting. Read on.
Demoralizing practices, including child sacrifice, prostitution, and snake worship.
Yeah, man. So child sacrifice, that is repulsive, man. For time's sake, a child sacrifice, there was a god called a Molech, and on its imagery, it had its hands out like this, and in its belly there was a hole, and they would light that hole on fire, and they would put the baby in there, man, and make it burn to death. And then the worshippers, they would bang loud drums so that you don't hear the baby burning, man. And they believed if they gave their son or daughter to that god, so-called, that they would get a blessing, man. And that's why their idolatry was odious. It was horrible, man. Egyptians didn't do that. Egyptians didn't sacrifice their firstborn. The Mesopotamians didn't sacrifice their firstborn. But the Canaanites, their form of idolatry was horrible, man. Read on.
Including child sacrifice, prostitution, and snake worship. Human and animal images of the deities were worshipped. The Israelites, on succeeding to the land, were commanded to destroy these idols.
And there you go, man. You can read about that in the book of Joshua and in Deuteronomy, where the Lord commanded us that when we get this land, to destroy all their images, man. Don't make no covenants with them. Don't make no agreements. And why? Because the Lord didn't want us learning none of their practices, man. And what would happen? One day you'll make an agreement with them. You'll let them have a little plot of land, and then you'll see them doing what they do and go, you know what, that seems all right, And then before you know it, you're doing what God told you not to do, man.
Right.
And that's why God was very strict on us, not making no agreements with them, just utterly destroy them, because God hated their idolatry. God hated their practices. Read on.
And the next part just goes into how the word just occurs.
Okay, yeah, no sweat. So yeah, that's the other part's going in something. So part of the history We went into the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. I'm gonna get some history online as well. Bear with me 1 second. Let me screen share this. All right, so this is from the Wikipedia. You know, just nice basic history, just to give you a layman's understanding. So in the Wikipedia, this is the section idolatry. Can't
False idols redirects here for the tricky album. See false idols for the veil of Maya album. See false idol. Idolatry is the worship of an idol as though it were God.
All right, so now that is what idolatry is. When you read the Bible, and you know God saying don't serve their gods, the Lord doesn't want us being idolaters, man.
Right.
And as it says, idolatry is the worship of an idol as though it were God, man. So meaning we ain't seen no similitude of God, but you make an image and go, this is God, man. I'm bowing down to it. I'm doing practices. And that's where it becomes a problem, because God forbids that, man. Read on.
In Abrahamic religions, namely Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, idolatry connotes the worship of something or someone other than God.
All right. So now, of course, we don't agree with all of that sentence right there. In Christianity, they worship that cross, man.
Right.
You go in a church, why is it so elevated? Why is it so, up there? In Islam, the cobblestone is a must. If you follow Islam, you must go to Mecca, man. Right. It's your Hajj. Or if you can't do your full Hajj, you do something called a Umrah, which is like it's like a fake Hajj where you don't do everything. You see the cobblestone, do a little few things here and there. But the point being is you must visit that stone, man. That is idolatry, man. Read on.
Worship of something or someone other than God, as if it were God. In these monotheistic religions, idolatry has been considered as the worship of false gods.
There you go. So, and that is absolutely right, man. Idolatry is the worship of false gods, man.
Right.
Why? Because they're not real. They're not real, man. They're not real. Remember, you are worshiping someone's artwork, man.
Right.
When you got this wooden statue and you're saying this is God, that is someone's artwork, man. That is a man's craftsmanship. It's not God. And when you do that, it is a false God, man. If you are in the church, you are worshiping someone's carpentry skills, man.
Right.
If you're in the mosque, you are worshiping a rock that allegedly fell from heaven, man. You are worshiping an invention of God called a meteorite, man.
Right.
Read on.
And is forbidden by the values such as the 10 Commandments.
There, so now, in the 10 Commandments, everyone knows about thou shalt have no God before me, man. You can't have no God around me. That's black man talk. In the church, how do they break it down? Before me, like in front of God. Before means, man.
Right.
I'm your God. Read on.
In many Indian religions, such as theistic and non-theistic forms of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, idols are considered as symbolism for the absolute, but not the absolute.
So meaning, in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, some of them believe that the idol isn't God, but it connects me to God. It's not quite there, but it does help, which is idolatry. Right. They're trying to the idol don't necessarily do it, but it does, man. Or then you wouldn't need it.
Right.
Read on.
Or icons of spiritual ideas or the embodiment of the divine. It is a means to focus one's religious pursuits and worship.
There, so that is an idol, meaning you need it to help devote you, to help do something. That right there, even though they are trying to make it seem like it is not idolatry, it really is, man.
Right.
So let me show you some modern idolatry, just to show you what we're talking about. Get some images up. All right, so I'm gonna get an image up for you right now, and we're gonna show you that this is idolatry. As much as people try to make it seem like it's not, it is what it is. So look at that right there, man. You can see the cursor on the screen. That is a Buddha, well, right there, and they're all bowing down. That is idolatry right there.
Right.
Even if they tell you, yeah, but we don't worship him. He's not the absolute, but you believe he can get you there, which is idolatry in itself, man. Because in the Bible it says we saw no similitude.
Right.
So you wouldn't need an intercessor. You wouldn't need an idol to help, bridge the gap between you and God, man. And this is what God hates right here. This is what God said, thou shalt have no gods before me, because this is what they're doing. It's God that makes the sun shine, man.
Right.
And then you give all that glory to a piece of gold, man. You bow down and humble yourself, but in front of a material that God made, man, called gold. Give you some other ones. What is it? All right, let's get another one. So this is Hinduism right here. And as you can see, she's giving some food to this, what you will call God right here. And that is idolatry right there, man. She's committing a ritual, which is a practice to another God, man. It's a religious practice. That's what a ritual is, man. And that's what God says we should not do. Now let's get into idolatry that some of us don't understand. You see that there? That is idolatry that people don't understand, man. Inside that cube there is the Kaaba stone. The word Kaaba in Arabic, it means cube. And look up that, man. All them people surrounding Iraq. That is idolatry, man.
Right.
Even if I tell you we reverence it, do you know what the word reverence means? If anyone knows, reverence means worship. You can look it up in a dictionary. Reverence is a form of worship, man. And I know they tell you, yeah, but we don't believe that, God is in the rock. But you believe that rock has some connection with their God, man, which makes it idolatry. The last one. Okay, what I'm looking for. But I'll use this one as an example for now. But even in the church, you know, some churches have a big cross and everyone's, you know, all around it. That is idolatry too, man. And you know what I mean, in our ignorance, we've done these things not knowing that that is idolatry, man. That is the service and worship of our so-called other God. Oh, I didn't drop that. Right, so everyone's seen that. All right, let's get back into it. Let's get Exodus 20. Let's get low.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 1. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
So now, if you've never read Exodus before, some of you may be thinking, well, you know, why is God letting the Israelites know that he brought them out of Egypt?
Right.
The next verse is going to explain why. Read on.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
That's why the Lord's saying it, man. Because in Egypt, there was many gods.
Right.
And that's why when the Lord laid down the 10 commandments, the first statement is, listen, I'm your God, man. I took you out to Egypt. And with that, I don't want no gods around me, man.
Right.
I don't want no idols around me. I don't want no Buddha, no Vishnu. I don't want any of that. Why? Because I brought you out of Egypt, man. Read on.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
So now he's saying, listen, no idolatry, man. Whether it's a graven image, the likeness of anything that is in heaven, so birds, sun, stars, moon, you know what I mean, meteorites, the cobblestone, you know, all them things. No. Or in the earth beneath, man. So any fish god, like the Babylonians, let me show you a fish god. So a so-called god underneath the earth. Show you. All right, let me show you. This is a good picture too. So this is a fish god. So this is a Babylonian god called Dagon, and that is a priest of Dagon. And what they would do, they would get a fish from the water, gut the fish, cut its neck, and then wear its mouth as a hat. Now I know we laugh at it now, but in those times they believed that, you know, Dagon was real, man. You know, you got a smelly fish on your head, you know, ridiculous. Then on the right, you got the Pope. Now the Pope isn't literally wearing the fish, but the style of his hat is patterned after that Babylonian practice. You know what I mean? There's a book we got called, well, it's on the I.S.U.P.K book list, called The Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop. And it breaks it down, lets you know that, you know, that fish hat, that hat that the Pope has is a Babylonian idol hat, man, for a priest that would worship a god called Dagon. So, you know, he literally had the fish as a hat. Now the Pope, you know, he has the hat imitating a fish's mouth. And the confessional booth, that is Babylonian too. The ancient Babylonians, they had a confession booth where you go in there, confess your sins, and then a Babylonian priest, he would say, you know what, it's fine, man. And the Roman Catholic Church does that till this day.
Right.
And that is Babylonian. You can look it up. It's nothing the I.S.U.P.K is making up. But as you can see, that is what you call a god underneath the waters. What they made. It's like a reader.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God.
And there you go, man. That cuts all that mysticism about these gods are real. The Lord's saying don't do it because he's jealous, man.
Right.
He's jealous when you give your praise and honor unto an idol. And the Lord, he's protecting you, man.
Right.
He parted the Red Sea. He proved to you that those Egyptian gods ain't nothing, man. And when you go back to it, the Lord's jealous, man. When you're in that mosque, the Lord is jealous, man. When you're in that church, the Lord is jealous, man. When you put that Haile Selassie picture on the wall, the Lord is jealous, man.
Right.
Why? Because he makes you wake up every day, man. He makes sure that you eat every day and you give all of that support that the Lord gave you unto an idol, man. That's what it's all about, jealousy, man. The Lord wants your obedience, man. The Lord wants you to serve him for what he done for you, man. Reader.
Visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation.
There, so meaning what? For what you do, the Lord may get you in when you're back on the earth. All your kids, man.
Right.
Your kids in the third and fourth generation, people are wondering what's wrong. And it's for what you did, man. But that's it on that. And yeah, so that's on that section. Let me preach in Ezekiel about thy detestable things. Visit Ezekiel, I'm sure.
No, this was talking about when we go back into the land.
Oh, okay. All right, so we're going to get the scripture then. I'm going to show you that idolatry came in many forms and many practices came along with it as well. But when we return, we'll put away our detestable things.
And they shall come thither, and they shall take away all the detestable things thereof, and all the abominations thereof from thence.
There, man. So when we return to our land, we're gonna put away all those detestable things.
Right.
The word detestable is disgusting, man. Meaning how the Lord feels about our idols, whether we're in the mosque, whether we are in the church. It's detestable, man. You know, look at it how the Lord looks at it, that it is horrible.
Do you want it from 2 verses back with the context where it says it will be a little sanctuary?
Yeah.
Ezekiel chapter 11 and verse 16. Therefore say, thus saith the Lord God, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary.
All right, so now the Lord, He's scattered us among the heathen, man. Meaning, you know, we're everywhere, England, Germany, France, America, and so forth. But even though we're scattered, He will be to us a little sanctuary. The word sanctuary is a place of rest, man.
Right.
And that's the I.S.U.P.K.
Right.
Regardless of where you are, you can come to a school, man. We got schools worldwide, man. And you can come to that sanctuary, learn who you are, clean yourself up, serve the Lord. Read on.
Yet will it be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. Therefore say, thus saith the Lord God, I will even gather you from the people and assemble you out of the countries where ye have been scattered.
And there, man, a time's coming where we're going to be gathered back, man.
Right.
We're scattered everywhere now, but it's not going to be like this forever, man. Like many things in the Bible, it's for a time, man. Just like the Babylonians, they ruled for a time. The Persians and the Medes, the Greeks, the Romans, it's all for a time. And us being scattered, black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man, it's for a time.
Right.
Reader.
And I will give you the land of Israel, and they shall come thither, and they shall take away all the detestable things thereof.
And there, man, we're going to take away all our detestable things thereof. What is that? Islam, man.
Right.
Christianity.
Right.
Rastafarianism, man.
Right.
We're going to put away all those detestable things. Does anyone know what the word detestable means? Give you a minute. Okay. I'll do it for time's sake. Detestable, deserving, intense dislike, man. That's what detestable is meaning. It's something that you deserve to hate it, man. And when we serve idols, the Lord is deserving to hate it, man.
Right.
Imagine in the church, they don't even look up definitions of words, man. You know, they just assume what it means, not knowing that detestable means it's something that is deserved to be hated, man. Meaning what? When we return, that church is deserved to be hated, man.
Right.
That mosque is deserving to be hated, man. Rastafarianism is deserved to be hated, man.
Right.
And that's what the Lord says, man. That we will put away our detestable things, meaning what? The Lord hates it and is right for hating it, man.
Right.
Meaning the Lord ain't with idolatry. The Lord ain't with religion, man. The Lord ain't with all of that. Any more than that?
Detestable things thereof, and all the abominations thereof from thence.
That's it. You know, so yeah, man, that lets you know that when we return, ain't no idolatry happening, man.
Right.
Ain't no, you know, cross and cobblestone and all them things. Ain't none of that happening, man. Ain't none of that going on. You know what I mean? Let's get into another idol that we see. All right, screen share this one with you. I got a question online, Leviticus 26:1. We'll get to that next year. Second, get it a proper one. All right, so this is another idol that so many people don't or think is not an idol. The image of a white Jesus Christ. People worship this, man. In the Catholic Church, they bow down to statues of this. In Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, there's a big one, man, on the hilltop, and people go to it and they bow down and believe it's Jesus Christ. And this, of course, is not Jesus Christ. This man lived in the time of the Renaissance, which is 1492. His name was Caesar Borgia, part of the Borgia family. His father was the Pope of Rome at that time, Alexander Borgia. And you know what I mean? His image became the depiction of Jesus Christ in what we know as a Europe at that time, which then went to the Western world. And wherever Christianity conquered, this is the image of Christ that they portrayed onto everybody, man. And this is an idol, man. I'm gonna show you it in Brazil, man. You're gonna see this and go, wow, like, is this what our people are into? So you can drop the screen share. All right, let me screen share this one. So there, man, his image now has become Jesus Christ, and that is an idol.
Right.
And that right there is an idol, man, where people worship it. There you go. Look at all them people around it, man. No one can't tell you otherwise. That right there is an idol. And look, so if you could read Leviticus 26:1. So off the back of the question about Leviticus 26:1, this is the modern day version of it.
Leviticus chapter 26 and verse 1. Ye shall make you no idols, no graven image, neither rear you up a standing image.
So now it says, neither rear you up a standing image. Now you see how big that image is. That was reared up, man.
Right.
Do you know what it means? Meaning on the back of it, they roped it up and they made it stand. That is a standing image. And of course, the context is idolatry. So meaning, you know what I mean? You make the idol, then you rear it up to make it stand.
Right.
And that is what Leviticus 26:1 and 2 is talking about, man. A standing image, meaning a pagan image that stands so that people can worship it, man. Read that.
Neither shall you set up any image of stone in your land.
And you can see that image there. It's made out of stone, man. It's made out of stone. And in Leviticus, you know what I mean? What you're seeing here is the opposite of what God wants, man. What you see right here is what God told us not to do, man. You know what I mean? And God don't want us doing that. Why? Because he made the sun, the moon, and the stars, man. and you're going to give that glory and that reverence to a stone, man, to something that you made and you read up. Remember, if you believe that that's God, God doesn't need man's help. God doesn't need ropes on its back to get read up. You know what I mean? God doesn't need a cement base so that it don't fall. And that's what happens. And that's what got God angry. It was jealousy that what? We gave the glory of God unto an idol, man. Read on.
Ye shall make you no idols, no graven image, neither rear you up a standing image, neither shall ye set up any image of stone in your land to bow down unto it.
And there you go, man. Set up no image of stone to bow down unto it. So let's break that down, man. Let's break down Leviticus 26. And look at that, man. I'll screenshot it with you first. There, so it says, don't bow down to any stone in your land. And on this image over here, that's the cobblestone right there, and the rock is inside of it. And look at all them people bowing down, showing you that what? Islam is not the way of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Right.
What did that say? Islam is a continuation of the Bible. Now listen, Islam contradicts the Bible, man.
Right.
What I would recommend is on YouTube, go on Cross the Line. This battle happened Friday morning in the UK time. It's Captain Qatazar versus, I don't know his name, but it's from the Nation of Islam. And it explained to him that, listen, the Kaaba and what you do, that is idol worship. And in Leviticus, it says, don't bow down to no stone in your land. And look what they're doing right there, man.
Right.
All of them there, they are bowing down to a stone behind that curtain, man. That is idolatry. People try to worm their way around it, but it is what it is, man. That right there is idol worship. Reader. Was that in Leviticus? I got here, no sweat. Sabbath. The next scripture. So Wisdom of Solomon 14. So now, for those of you that have never read the Bible before, in Israelite history, there was a king called King Solomon. And, he was the wisest man of his day. And, through his life, he experienced many things. Then now, in the Wisdom of Solomon, which you will find in a section of the Bible, he's talking about idolatry and why people go into idols, or why they believe that, idol worship is the way to find God. Read that for me.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 11. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation.
It's not from verse 1 about men of vain nature.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 1. Again, one preparing himself to sail, and about to pass through the raging waves, calleth upon a piece of wood, more rotten than the vessel that carrieth him.
It might be 13 and 1, about all men are vain.
Oh, yes. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13 and verse 1. Surely vain are all men by nature.
So now, why do people worship idols? Because they're vain by nature, meaning naturally man is worthless, man. Without the knowledge of the Lord, we all would do some worthless stuff, man. We all would do things that make no sense. And what is that? Vanity, idolatry, man. Because They don't know God. They think, if I make this, it will get me closer to God. Because one thing that you gotta understand, thousands of years ago, evolution did not exist, man. Thousands of years ago, the belief of no God didn't exist. The most ancient of man knew of a God. If you don't believe me, you can look up a caveman. Even in the caves, the caveman worshipped a God. On the rocks and the walls, they decipher those rocks, and even they know that, listen, that a caveman, that Neanderthal man, he believed in some kind of God and had idols. So all throughout history of mankind, man always believed in a God. But here's the problem. They don't know God though. They know he exists, but they serve him vainly. And what's that vanity? Via idols, man. A reader.
Surely vain are all men by nature who are ignorant of God.
And there you go. The reason why the Muslims are circling that cobblestone, because they are what?
Ignorant of God.
The reason why in the church they're bowing down to that cross, why is that?
Ignorant of God.
There you go, man. The reason why people serve idols, because they're ignorant of God, man. What does ignorant mean? It means you don't know, man.
Right.
In the Greek, it's ignoramus, which means you don't know. You lack the understanding. And that's why people serve idols, because they don't really know about God, man. They don't know that God's the maker of everything. And regardless of what you make, that can't help you get closer to God, man. How we get closer to God is by keeping his laws, by keeping his commandments. No rock, no cross, no intercessing idol. It won't help you, man. And other nations done that because they just didn't know God like how we do, man. Reader.
Surely vain are all men by nature who are ignorant of God and could not out of the good things that are seen know him that is.
And there you go, man. King Solomon is saying, out of the good things that are seen, you couldn't know God, man. Meaning, you can't see the mountains, see the moon, see nature and go, listen, man, God's in everything, man. God's the maker of everything. Me making this wooden idol, come on, this ain't really God, man.
Right.
God's better than this idol that I've carved up. They couldn't know God by what they see, man. Reader.
Neither by considering the works did they acknowledge the workmaster.
And yeah, man, God is the work master, man. I mean, God's the master of everything you see on this earth, man. You watch the animal channel. That's God's work right there, man. How, this animal can do this. That animal does that. This animal sees in the dark. The Lord is the work master, man.
Right.
So what's the point of this? If you can see God as the work master, your idol won't make you reach God, man.
Right.
Your cross, your cobblestone, Haile Selassie will not help you reach God because he's the work master. Reader.
But deemed either fire or wind, or the swift air, or the circle of the stars, or the violet water, or the lights of heaven to be the gods which govern the world.
There, man, they look at things that are nature and go, that's God. That wind, that's God. Forgetting that there's a work master that made that wind blow, man. There's a work master that puts those stars up in the outer firmament, man. Reader.
With whose beauty, if they being delighted, took them to be gods, let them know how much better the Lord of them is.
There you go, man. If you look at the earth and the wind and the stars, that is beautiful. Then how much greater is God, man?
Right.
You want to know a fact? You can't make nothing greater than yourself.
Right.
It's a scientific fact. It's called cause and effect. So meaning, if there's that effect, someone caused it to happen, and the cause has to be greater than the effect. So that means God is greater than his inventions, man. You like the inventions, serve who's greater than those inventions, man. Reader.
Much better the Lord of them is, for the first author of beauty have created them.
Yeah, man. So the maker made those, man. The maker made that sun that the Egyptians worship, man. Shouldn't they go, you know what? I should serve who made the sun, man. I like that sun. I'm calling it Ra, but guess what? That sun is an invention, man. How about I serve the inventor of that sun, man?
Right.
And that's what King Solomon's saying. Like, listen, you like all these things and you're saying they're God, but listen, those are inventions, man. Don't serve the inventions, serve the inventor, man. Serve the maker. Why serve the invention? Reader.
But if they were astonished at their power and virtue, let them understand by them how much mightier he is that made them.
Yeah, man, how much mightier is he that made them, man?
Right.
If you love the sun, then how much greater is the Lord, man, that made the sun, man? You love the wind, and you got a wind God, then how greater is the Lord that made the wind? You can't even see wind.
Right.
So how great is the Lord, man? Serve the maker, not the invention, man. That's what Wisdom of Solomon is saying. Slaki, 1 second, number. So it goes, Slaki said, in what years did the Neanderthal people was living? Now, okay, Neanderthal people, there's no exact time. Why? Because scientists tried to say millions of years ago. What the real Neanderthal is the oppressor in the caves. That
Right.
is the Neanderthal. Now, of course, over time, people have added on myths about the Neanderthal out. He looked like an ape, and it's just a hairy white man in the cave.
Right.
That is a Neanderthal. Easy breakdown. You know what I mean? All of what they say from evolution, it's been a hoax. It's been proven to be a lie. All of those jaw bones that they found and go, you know, this is a step in evolution. Anthropologists, they've viewed those skeletons and go, listen, those are forgeries, man.
Right.
People have made those bones and tried to make it seem like, you know, listen, that's the step of evolution right there. It don't exist. So the Neanderthal is literally a white man in his natural state.
Right.
A white man without no iPhone. A white man without Gillette razors.
Right.
A white man without farm foods and KFC and a house. That is a Neanderthal. And I know now, you know, that car and, you know, this and that. But in his natural state, left in the mountains, that's what you would see a Neanderthal. You know what I mean? If the answer is give me a con, give me a 1, etc. Read on number.
For by the greatness and beauty of the creatures, proportionably the maker of them is seen.
Yeah, man. And what's the key word? Apportionably, meaning every animal, they have their thing, man. The owl can spin its neck all the way around, man. Every animal can't do that, man. An owl can see at night.
Right.
Every animal can't do that, meaning every animal has their individual blessing, man. And imagine how great the Lord is that, listen, I'm gonna make this animal have the ability to spin his neck 360. I'm gonna give this animal the ability to see at night, man. I'm gonna give this animal no bones. I'm gonna give this animal a jaw that can dislocate to swallow something whole. You see that and go, damn, the Lord's great, man.
Right.
All these animals ain't made the same with the ideas of the Lord. There wasn't lacking, you know what I mean? They weren't like, you know, damn, I can only make the animals go so far. Animals can do so many things, and that is invention, man.
Right.
That's not by chance. That is invention, man. That is a mind that is far superior than ours, man.
Right.
Reader.
But yet for this they are the less to be blamed, for they peradventure err, seeking God and desirous to find him. For being conversant in his works, they search him diligently and believe their sight, because the things are beautiful that are seen.
So now, because what they see is so beautiful, they make it God, man. With that a bull, like every nation had a bull god. The bull is a beautiful animal, man. It's masculine, dominates the cows. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful animal, but because they don't understand God, with the beauty of God's work, they admire it so much, and then they make that God, man. They see the sun. The sun is a beautiful work, man. Do you want to know a fact? The sun is the right distance away from the earth so that you feel the heat, but it doesn't burn you. That is beautiful. But it don't mean you gotta worship the sun though. And people get so admired with the Lord's work that they go, that must be God, man. The sun has a brain of its own, and it's staying so far away to give us light and to give us vitamin D and to grow the crops. And because the Lord's work is that good, if you're ignorant of God, you will think the sun is God, man. Right. It's like question lines, like you said, I do not understand. So in what year was they living? Okay. With Alexander the Great, or the Greek, as we call him, you can read history about him before his dad. You know what I mean? There's not much history before his dad. Why? Because with the Japhetic people, they lived in Greece. But with him, if you look up Macedonia, that's a cavey area. So that's the history there, man. They lived in the caves by Macedonia. Even in the Roman Empire, you know what I mean? This ain't even deep information. The Romans killed the Etruscans, and the Etruscans were a dark-skinned race of people that lived in Rome before the white Romans, man. Right. White Romans lived in caves, and eventually they learned off the Etruscans, and then they killed them, man, and mixed in with them. And even a lot of Roman culture, they learned from them. Like Rome loved orgies and swingers. Etruscans loved, they loved those things too, man. In Etruscan history, a man could be walking with his wife. A man would want to have sex with his wife, and he would let him go, okay. And then another walker by go, oh, okay. And then he would join in. That's how Etruscans were, and the white Romans of that time learned it off Etruscans. Right. But white Romans came from the mountains, man. So yeah, so you know what I mean? Definitely look into ancient Greek history and ancient Roman history. They weren't the original dwellers. They killed the original dwellers of those lands, man. Right. So yeah, so you take it there. You look at the Wisdom of Solomon, a 14:1. I mean, is there any more good stuff in there?
Yeah,
that was the punchline. I know, sorry, let's get 14:1.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 1. Again, one preparing himself to sail and about to pass through the raging waves, calleth upon a piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carrieth him.
So imagine this now, you're on a boat, man, and the waves are roaring, and he calls on a piece of wood, man. Your boat's made out of that same wood, man.
Right.
How is that wood gonna help you from your boat, man? The idol's made out of wood, and your ship is made out of wood. How is that wood that you're bowing to going to help you, man? It's just as rotten as that ship you're riding on, man. Read on.
For verily desire of gain devised that, and the workman built it by his skill.
Oh, there you go, man. Verily, the desire of gain devised it. Meaning what? It's a hustle, man.
Right.
The founders of idolatry, it was gain, it was money, it was a hustle, man. And what example can I give in the mosque? Islam is a hustle for black people, man.
Right.
Imagine this: you join this religion, you gotta buy the mandress, and remember this now: you can't make your own. You gotta get yours from Saudi Arabia. You gotta get your mandress. You gotta get your Arab headscarf from where? Saudi Arabia. You can't make your own. That's gain right there, man. With a prayer rug, you gotta buy it from Mecca. You gotta get one made by Al-Bukhari, Imam the Second. You know what I mean? Why can't you make your own rug?
Right.
Because it's gain. If you make your own man dress and your own rug, they ain't making money, man. That's why you gotta buy their rug, you gotta buy their man dress, you gotta buy their headscarf. The mosque, you mean you can't make your own? That mosque buys theirs from Saudi Arabia, and then you gotta buy it off the mosque. So now who's making money? In Arabia, there's a high sheikh called Sheikh Mohammed, man. You're making him rich.
Right.
When you're buying all that. And let me tell you something, Sheikh Mohammed's wife, she's hiding from him in London, man.
Right.
I mean, you can look it up. She pretended that she's going on a holiday and ran to London, and she's staying in his house, and she won't go back to Saudi Arabia, man. She's afraid of him. Why? Because he's a wife beater, man. You know what I mean? She confessed to what he was doing to her. He was beating her and giving her all these illegal drugs to make her have a bad a memory and all that crap. And she escaped and left him and went to London, man. His daughter tried, but she got caught, man. She sent a text to a friend. He found the phone and knew where she was. And of course, him being a powerful sheikh, he called the police, and they arrested her and brought her back, man. But listen, when you're in a mosque buying all of their stuff, it is gain, man.
Right.
It's gain. They're taking advantage of you, man. When you're in the church buying holy water, that's not independently. That holy water goes back to the source, man.
Right.
That holy water goes back to the Catholic Church, man, who makes lots of money, man. All those books, The Power of Love by Jesus Christ. Who do you think benefits of that? The church, man. Is gain. Idolatry brings gain. Do you know how it brings gain? Because you're going to make them rich, man. If you believe I need to serve God, I need to buy that, then who's benefiting? The mosque.
Right.
The church. You buying this holy water, that's benefiting the church. Is it me or the holy water? Why can't it just be handed out? You got to pay, this holy water right here is £6, But I thought, with God, it's a free gift, man.
Right.
But it's gain. They're hustling you. Ain't nothing holy about that water, man. It's tap water. That pastor behind your back is like, wet in the tap, pour some water, and then you're so gullible in your ears. Take this holy water from the River Jordan, man. Took it from Israel, and you're so gullible, you're buying it, man. In Saudi Arabia, they make headscarves daily, man.
Right.
Ain't nothing special about them. But they come to you, listen, man, this headscarf, my hand work, man. It's been preserved, this kind of cotton, Arab cotton, and you're gullible. Like, yeah, man, I want to submit, man. I want to submit myself to Islam. And it's gain. They're robbing you, man. It's not God. And the people that make it know it's not God neither. Reader.
But thy providence, O Father, governeth it, for thou hast made a way in the sea and a safe path in the waves, showing that thou canst save from all danger.
And there, man, showing that the Lord, he can save from all danger. That man is praying to a piece of wood on a ship. He's an idiot that got gain, man.
Right.
Meanwhile, the Lord, he can save all, man. The Lord can calm those waves on the sea, man. You serve the living God, those waves could stop. You could walk on water. You could do so many things. But that piece of wood you are praying to, that cannot help you, man. Reader.
Though a man went to sea without art, nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle.
And there you go now. Now, why do we need to go here? Because God doesn't want man idle, man. Meaning, even though God can make us do many things, he doesn't want us idle.
Right.
That's why you use wood to make a ship. Because God don't want mankind lazy. What do people say? Well, if God knows everything, why do we need to take vaccines? Because God don't want man idle, man.
Right.
God wants you to go out there in the vineyard, go out there and find herbs and find out what can heal you, man. God doesn't want his work idle, man. That's why we make ships, because God don't want mankind idle. Even though God could do so many things, He doesn't do it not because He can't do it. He doesn't want you sitting down watching MTV all day, man. He doesn't want you on YouTube all day. He wants you going out there searching and doing something, man. Reader.
And therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood, and passing the rough sea in a weak vessel are saved.
And there, man. Why? Because God, He can save you from those waves, man. That vessel's weak, it's wood. What? You know what I mean? I used to do carpentry back in the day. Water can swell wood, man. So for you to make it from sea back on land, really, it's God, man.
Right.
That wood only took you so far. I know people varnish wood and try to, take away the water content out of it. But overall, it's the Lord, man. You had the Titanic, man. The Titanic, it wasn't even wood. And the Lord sunk that, man.
Right.
It shows you that it's the Lord that brings you back safe, regardless of what invention you have. Even though the Lord wants you to make that invention so you're not lazy, overall, it is the Lord, man. Reader.
For in the old time also, when the proud giants perished, the hope of the world, governed by thy hand, escaped in a weak vessel.
There you go, man. What is talking about? Noah's Ark, man. Noah's Ark is a weak vessel. It's wood. How did wood last that long? Because the Lord wanted it to, man. And again, the Lord didn't want Noah lazy, man. That's why Noah made the ark. People always say, but why can't God do it? It's not that God can't do it. God doesn't want you to be lazy, man. That's why men find out inventions. Men go, yo, this wood here, if I nail it up and I make it airtight, the water don't get in. It's so that mankind ain't lazy, man. People find herbs so that mankind ain't lazy. People learn self-defense. People do engineering. People do all things because God doesn't want us lazy, man. Reader.
And left to all ages a seed of generation, for blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh.
And there, man, blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh, meaning we don't serve wooden idols, but God blessed that wood to save mankind on the earth, man.
Right.
Say that, don't bow down to it. Listen, what is Sir Solomon basically saying? Wood ain't bad. People bowing down to wood is bad.
Right.
But wood, as an invention, there's nothing wrong with it, man. 8 people got saved and animals via wood, man. Wood itself ain't a bad thing. It's what you do with that wood, man. A rock ain't a bad thing, man. But when you're bowing down to that rock, that's when it becomes a bad thing, man. Reader.
But that which is made with hands is cursed, as well it as he that made it.
There you go. So the wood ain't bad. It's you that made it, man. It's you that made that idol. Gold ain't bad. But if you make a golden idol, then that's bad. Reader.
He, because he made it, and it, because being corruptible, it was called God.
And therein, that's what makes that wood bad. It's corruptible, meaning it dies, and you called it God, man. That's what makes it bad, not the wood itself, which is the point that Solomon is making. Reader.
For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto God.
So the ungodly, meaning the idol maker, and his ungodliness, meaning what the idol, they're both alike hateful, man. Showing you God hates idols and God hates that idol maker, man. Why? Because they're causing people to go astray. It's making people think that God is in the idol when he is not. Reader.
For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it.
And there, man, you made it. You're going to be punished too, man. Drop that. Give me Isaiah 30 and 20.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 30 and verse 20. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner anymore.
And that's the UPK, man.
Right.
We are the teachers of the Lord, and we're not removed into a corner no more, man. Since 1969, we ain't in a corner no more, man. Right. In the past, we was in the corners, meaning what? The church had the forefront. The mosque had the forefront. But guess what? In these last days, the men of the Lord got the forefront.
Right.
The men of the Lord ain't removed into a corner no more, meaning what? We're not rejected. People, listen, man. I was watching I was listening to Let a Hebrew speak today. And General Kathungabar says something heavy. He goes, even when you don't think people are listening, they are, man. He goes, even when on the videos, the numbers may seem low, it's not about the numbers are low, it's about who's watching, man.
Right.
And some powerful people in England and America, they're watching, man. And they say what we say in class. I've been watching some stuff and like, yo, in the world, you would never know that unless you watch us.
Right.
And they say it word for word, man. They say what General Muhammad says in the class. They say what Commanding General YAHANNA says in a class on Black News, man.
Right.
They say what Officer Dungabar says on a Wednesday class, man. Right. They got the Windrush history that Officer Dungabar brings out, man.
Right.
People, listen, man. The teachers of the Lord are not removed into a corner anymore, man. We are the people that people listen to, man.
Right.
Even if you don't agree on everything, they go, yo, but what they're saying is heavy, though. Ain't no denying that. We're not removed into a corner no more, man. Read on.
But thine eyes shall see thy teachers.
And guess what? You're going to see us on Saturday, Lord allow.
Right.
You're going to see the teachers you're going to see the teachers this weekend, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's key, man. That the people that will lead Black people, you see them, man. We don't think we're better than you. We're not hidden away somewhere, acting like, you know what I mean, we're all up there. You see us, man. You can see us any day of the week, man. Anytime, anywhere, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Why? Because you're going to see us, man. And you know what's funny? You can look it up. Malcolm X, you know what I mean? He come across the I.S.U.P.K. If you read his biography, it tell you that he met what he called Black Jews, which were Hebrew Israelites. He met the heads of the I.S.U.P.K. And there's a video or there is a audio, and he says, in the last days, you will see some men on the corners preaching, listen to them. Right. Do you know what he was talking about? The I.S.U.P.K, man. You know what I mean? Before he died, you know what I mean? He met the I.S.U.P.K, man.
Right.
Even Khalid Muhammad, he was part of the Nation of Islam, then joined the Black Panthers before he died. I heard it from the source, so no one can't tell me nothing. In New York, he battled the I.S.U.P.K in the street, and they confounded him.
Right.
It's on record, and he said, "You know what? What you're saying is the truth, but you're ignorant with it." Meaning, they battled all day. You know, here's some Nation of Islam guys. You know what I mean, with the brothers, they were on the mic, and they shut him down. And he admitted that, yo, like, what you're saying is true. You're just ignorant with it, man. And if I have time, I'll get it for you. In an interview, remember this, you know, Nation of Islam, they don't, at one point in time, they didn't believe that we was the Israelites. Khalid Muhammad, in one of his last interviews, do you know what he said? He goes, we are the original Black Hebrews, man. And where did he learn that from? The I.S.U.P.K, man. You want to know why? Because he saw those teachers, man. Like what was prophesied in the book of Isaiah. He saw it, man. All right, I got a couple minutes. Let me find it for you. But yes, he said it goes, we are the real Black Hebrews. And in that time, the Nation of Islam did not teach that, man. But it come against the I.S.U.P.K and got confounded, and it dropped his world, man. Let me see if I can get it for you. I'll go over 5 minutes, all right, just to see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. It's a video. It's only a section of a video. It's not like no. I'll tell you what. Oh man. There's quite a few interviews here. I'd have to just go back over them. But there's one where it's a white woman he's talking to. And she asked him, so what do you think you are? He goes, us as black people, we are the real black Hebrews. And he only learned that from battling the I.S.U.P.K, man. But I cannot find that right now. But when I do, I'm definitely gonna have to. You can do it, sir. Come on, it's a class. It's got a shot, man. But I've got you on WhatsApp. I'll have to really get some watching on because it's a section of a video. It's not like just that video. It's an interview, and in it, you know, she asked him, "So what do you? So who do you think we are?" He goes, "Yo, we are the real black Hebrews, man." And that happened after coming against the I.S.U.P.K, man. You know what I mean? So yeah. And with that, I'm handing over to priest and officer of 5,000, Officer Dongaba.
Give the captain a hand. Count the test. Alright, this is the I.S.U.P.K security announcement. Where the I.S.U.P.K started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. Rule for new brother and sister. When the new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will call each other. After this 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment found in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi, chapter 3 and 8 through 10. Ma'ashera, it means 10th in the Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or the teacher. Priest funds, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations, the 6th of September, which is a Monday, the Feast of Blowing the Trumpets. Or Akim and Aquaf, check the bulletin board in the hallway and check all I.S.U.P.K social media. If anyone wants to become a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boot, shirt, pants, headband, and scarf. And with that, we're going to give the teacher one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, I imagine Shabbat, I imagine Barak, Yahweh Shemi HaShabrakafah,
Yahweh Shemi HaShabrakafah,
Yajamata, class dismissed.